Hennythemoor over here at HTM Sports. How is everybody doing, man, on this fine President's Day, man? We got to give you the presidential treatment over here since it's President's Day, man. We ain't going to stop. We're going to keep giving y'all this fine quality Cowboys content, man, all season, all season, man. So, as y'all can see by the title, Dak Out CJ in, right? With a question mark. And the only reason we out here talking about this is, there is a report flowing around that the Dallas Cowboys are currently intrigued. That's the word that they use. The word that they use is intrigued about the prospect of getting one CJ Stroud in the draft this year, right? So we're going to talk about it. We're going to see what that looks like. We're going to look at some numbers about CJ Stroud. And then we're going to talk about, is it even actually possible to get CJ Stroud? Should we want CJ Stroud? And, should Jerry Jones just shut up sometimes? Right? And that's pretty much what's going on right now. So we'll get some more people in here. And then we know we'll commence. We'll get some more folks in here, then we'll rock out. But yeah. So matter of fact, I ain't even gonna wait. First and foremost, man, Jerry Jones and Dallas Cowboys, man, you can tell when contract negotiations are going on, right? I talked about this on another show not too long ago. When the Dallas Cowboys are in contract negotiations, they always leak, little petty, mundane stuff, during the negotiations, because the Dallas Cowboys love to negotiate through the media, right? So there are talks about Dak Prescott possibly getting an extension. And when extensions and money is in play, the Dallas Cowboys like leaking stuff about who they like. They like leaking stuff about what the player did or what the player didn't do, so on and so forth. Right? I always mention the Dez Bryant tape that never actually came out. DC for LifeX. What's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in. Right? I always bring up the Dez Bryant tape that never actually amounted to anything. That was something that was a buzz about during Dez Bryant's contract negotiation, right? They always report. Hey, Jazzy Jeff, what's good with man? They always report on crazy stuff and push these narratives when it's time to get somebody some money or it's time to, negotiate. And really, that's one of the reasons the Dallas Cowboys could not get, much from Amari Cooper. They dragged the man publicly. They made it publicly known they did not want him on the roster. And because of that, they were only able to trade him away for a bag of chips. So, I think it has more to do with the possibility of Dak Prescott getting an extension than it does actually, with CJ Stroud making it to the Dallas Cowboys. And, we're all smart, reasonable people, right? There are people in the world that are not very high on Dak Prescott, right? I'm not one of them. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think you can win the Super Bowl with him. But there is, a section of the fan base that is tired of Dak Prescott. And I do understand. Right? I do get it. Towards the end, I had some I wasn't feeling Romo as much as I was, towards the end. He was still an amazing player, and I felt like in 2014, had that call went our way. I thought that was the year that Tony would have got us over the hump. But like people, always have up and down feelings about quarterbacks over the course of their careers. So if somebody's down on Dak Prescott right now, I get it. But we also have to be reasonable and realistic when talking about the quarterback position, right? Dak Prescott is the best that you can do right now, and he is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. If you want to replace somebody like Dak Prescott, then let us get Parsons for our 2 first-round picks. Boy, no, no, nah, buddy. Michael Parsons is too valuable for this defense. Hey, I appreciate you tapping in too, DJ. But yeah, Michael Parsons is way too valuable for our defense because what we do is really predicated on our ability to rush the passer and apply pressure to the quarterback. We're not an outstanding run defense or anything like that. So we try and get the opposing team to obvious passing situations. We bring those guys on the front seven like Michael Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence, etc., etc. And we have some playmaking defensive backs on the back end. So like Michael Parsons is way too important to what we want to do on defense, right? We already have undersized, defensive tackles. We play with a lot of speed, so we need somebody like Michael Parsons. Like guys like him don't grow on trees. So nah, you can keep your two first. We need to keep that. Need to keep that production because there's nobody else on this team that can get us 13 sacks. Hey, I appreciate you, Ken Fogel. I appreciate the love, brother. Marcus Hardison, peace and blessings. Sending a salute to the chat. Yeah, at NLZ, what's up with you? Regina Green. So yeah, man. So even if you're down on Dak Prescott, this is not the way to go about getting another player. Because for one, let's talk about the logistics of it. Let's say we all want CJ Stroud, right? And I'll get into his numbers later. Let's say we do realistically want CJ Stroud. How do you get him? Because we pick at number 26. CJ Stroud is expected to be the second quarterback off the board. There's a possibility that CJ Stroud will be the second overall pick, right? Because Bryce Young is expected to be the first quarterback off the board. Is expected to be the first overall pick in the draft this year. And then CJ Stroud is expected to be drafted by the Houston Texans. We do not have the assets to trade up and get CJ Stroud. Let's be realistic about the stuff. We do not have the assets. Who on your team can you trade? Hey, C. Burleson, what's up with you? Who on your team can you trade away to get, in position to draft this young man? Because you can't trade Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has a no trade clause. If he doesn't want to go there, he'll just deny the trade. You don't really have too much to offer. Like, why would they trade all the way back for from the second round pick to the 22nd pick? Are you going to give up future first round picks to get him? You have to do something along the lines of what the 49ers did. The 49ers gave up like 6 picks altogether. They gave up 3 first round picks and then like a combination of second round and third round picks to move up just to draft Trey Lance. And using just that comparison, like after what happened with Trey Lance, them moving up, mortgaging a lot of draft capital to draft this man, and he barely done played, right? Like that doesn't even sound like something that would entice me, right? We just won 12 games last year. We just won a road playoff game last year. D.A. Lee, what's up with you, man? Yeah, this is not the time to be swapping out your quarterback, right? Dak Prescott, there are things that he's not. He's not the best quarterback in football. But what he is, he's in between the 6 to 10 range, right? You just look at his raw numbers, his raw production, passing yards, touchdowns, wins. Like Dak Prescott has been a very productive quarterback since he's came into the league. Now he does have a market. There are teams that would trade a lot for Dak Prescott. The issue is we don't need assets. We need players that can go out on the field and win games, right? So as it stands right now, yeah, top 5 when he cooking. Yeah, like Dak Prescott has stretches where he's been in the MVP conversation. Like Dak Prescott has received MVP votes before in his career. So like Dak Prescott when he's on, like he's easily plays like a top 4 to 5 quarterback. When he's off, he does have some ups and downs sometimes. But like he never played so bad where you don't think that he can be a productive quarterback. So like just thinking about realistically us trying to take the next step forward and add on to what we did last year in the playoffs. Like the goal is right now should be improving the team, getting some good free agents in, having a good draft, retooling what you need to retool, probably fix that run defense, and then go back out there and try win the division, try to make it so where the road to the Super Bowl has to go to Dallas. Right? You just need what the Dallas Cowboys need to be trying to do is try to find a way to get to the NFC Championship game. Now remember, we won 12 games back-to-back seasons for the first time since the 90s. We just won a road playoff game for the first time in 30 years. So like that's not the time to go into rebuild. And when you're trying to get rid of your quarterback, bring in a rookie, no matter where the rookie's drafted at, like you're taking a step back as a team. Because Patrick Mahomes didn't even start his first career. Best quarterback in the league, generational player, already all-time great. He gave them nothing his first year, right? And I'm trying to win right now. And CJ Stroud, if we're being honest about this quarterback draft, this is not a strong quarterback draft. He's the second best quarterback in a weak draft class. Let's be 100% real about what we're talking about. It's not even the year to thinking about going up and trading away your future to get a quarterback. It's not. There's question marks about all these quarterbacks. There's question mark about Bryce Young, about his size, the boy only being 5'11", right? There's question marks about CJ Stroud. He only played in 25 games in college, right? He just forego his last 2 years of eligibility, to come to the draft. He never won a national championship or anything like that, and he played in a division that's not really known for defense. So, like all these things, those are question marks around these guys. And there's sure in the hell is question marks about Will Levi and all these other guys. So, like this is not like an amazing blow your socks off quarterback draft. And don't get me wrong, like there are some things that CJ Stroud does that are very impressive. When you look at his overall numbers, they are impressive. But we're talking about pretty much a rebuild. And I hate that we're even have to have this conversation right now. It is something that was reported, so we're going to talk about it. But like that's not the move to be making right now, right? You need to upgrade, at wide receiver. You need to upgrade your offensive line, right? You need to upgrade your run defense. But the quarterback you have right now, like I know everybody remembers the 49ers game, but you got to remember the game prior, what was a road playoff game, he had 5 total touchdowns. And if you look statistically, it was the best, playoff game in Dallas Cowboys history statistically. You know, like, you know, I would put like Troy Aikman's performances over the Super Bowl and NFC Championship game over that because of the magnitude of the games. But just like raw numbers, like that, those were the best a quarterback ever did in the playoff game for the Dallas Cowboys. Every other year, the media swears Ohio State quarterbacks are the next best thing, and every time they disappoint in the league. Yeah, like there has not been a single Ohio State quarterback that's came out and that's actually lived up to the billing or the hype. Michael Lockhart, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. So yeah, man. And I'm not gonna poo-poo on CJ Stroud. I'm saying? I hope he comes into the league and he has a nice long career. And I'm gonna give you his numbers. I'm gonna give you his career numbers. Since we're talking about him. I'm gonna talk about the good things that he does do. Right. He started 25 games in college. That's all he started. He only been a starter in 2021 and 2022. This year that just ended with his second year as a starting quarterback. He completed 552 of his 796 career passes. That is a 69.3% completion percentage. He passed for 7,775 yards. He averaged 9.8 yards, an attempt. He threw for 81 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, had a 187.2 rating, and he only has, despite having size and some athleticism, he only has one career rushing touchdown. So those are the numbers for him. He was 21-4 as a starter, which is real good. But he never got his team over the hump. Never got his team over the hump. He made a championship game, but did you watch Ben DiNucci last night? Yep, Ben DiNucci had some good moments, and he was turning the ball over like a fool too. But there's some solid players playing in the XFL right now, man. Like there are some guys that are worth looking at and taking notes on. I think I'm going to do some scouting on the XFL. And look, it makes sense. We already signed the MVP from that league to our team, and he made the Pro Bowl, right? So I think you know, probably scouting, keeping tabs on these guys would be good for the Cowboys moving forward. They always like, trying to find good players at a discount anyway. And what better way to do that than to use that as like a summer league? Just use XFL as a summer league. Anybody that you see, he said, I'm following the Browns. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so I definitely would use that as like a developmental league. Just look at these players. 'Cause a lot of these guys were in the league at one point, so it's not like they playing a bunch of Rudy pools. So I think that would be cool. I think that would be cool. I think the Dallas Cowboys, as cheap as they are, Ben DiNucci belongs in XFL. He was nearly benched. Speaking of benched, man, like you saw your boy Paxton Lynch got benched. And remember, like in 2016, the Dallas Cowboys were finna trade away assets to go into the first round and get that boy. So remember, you know, the Cowboys are always intrigued about this guy and that guy. Well, remember, the Dallas Cowboys, they have a history of almost messing up the entire franchise. Remember, they dodged two bullets before they got Dak Prescott because they almost drafted Paxton Lynch and they almost drafted Connor Cook. Right? So we seen that stuff happen. Like we talk about the front office's inability to, you know, their inability to diagnose and assess the quarterback position. It goes back, man. Like think about the quarterback purgatory in between Troy Aikman up to Tony Romo, right? Like there were a bunch of a horrible quarterback that played for the Cowboys. So that's why I'm always hesitant. I'm always hesitant about moving off of a good quarterback, without having a feasible possibility of upgrading, right? Without having a feasible, way of actually going out and making the team better. Because listen, this ain't Madden. Like we got to be realistic about these players and about what we can get for them and all this other stuff. Like, yes, you can get a lot for Dak Prescott. Like, there are plenty of teams that would trade a couple first round picks to get Dak Prescott. That's how important the quarterback position is. And Dak Prescott has a body of work that shows you, yeah, yeah, man. Paxton Lynch got lynched because he on the bench right now because he choked in front of everybody. These are the quarterback front office want to hear. Y'all better appreciate that. Yeah, because listen, they had Tony Romo fall into their laps as an undrafted free agent. They had Dak Prescott fall into their laps. And remember, Dak Prescott was only in the fourth round because of a DUI. Like there were some people that had him going as high as a second and no lower than the third before that. So like the Dallas Cowboys would not have even been in a position to get Dak Prescott, had everything going the way it was supposed to go. If the Cowboys got their way and Dak Prescott had stayed out of trouble, like it would have been a completely different history for the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, man, like CJ Stroud is not possible. You have no way to trade up and get him. And the best asset that you have, because remember, the Houston Texans need a quarterback. They just got rid of, well, I ain't gonna say they got rid of. Deshaun Watson forced his way out of Houston. They need a quarterback. They got a new head coach, so he wants to start over fresh. So yeah, like think about the teams that need quarterback, like Da pointed out. The Atlanta Falcons need a quarterback. The New Orleans Saints need a quarterback. Washington Commanders need a quarterback. And New York, the Jets, both the New York teams, really, if you think about it, because there is not a single New York Giants fan alive that will realistically take Daniel Jones over Dak Prescott. Right? Giants have not beaten Dak Prescott, since 2016. So that's going on what 7 years? Going on 7 years that they haven't beat Dak Prescott. Yeah, Raiders. Like there's a bunch of teams, that can use Dak Prescott services. So like we as fans, like this is the thing, like fans are so fickle and so unappreciative. Denver. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, Denver sick as hell. Matter of fact, Dak Prescott told a story at one point about how he had a meeting with the Denver Broncos, and they were thinking about drafting him. And the reason that the meeting didn't happen because he missed his flight. So like, there's a bunch of things that happen. There's a bunch of bizarre world scenarios where Dak Prescott is not on the team. Yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, I think they're gonna give Kenny Pickett more time, but right now he's obviously a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett is. So they wanted to skip a rebuild, and that'll be a possibility. But point is, like, yes, you can get stuff for Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott has a no trade clause. So unless he is willing to let himself get traded, which he will not be, because he fought to get that included into his contract for a reason. He's not trying to leave Dallas. It's too marketable. It's too good of a team that he can compete with right now. He's not trying to leave that situation. So yeah, man, like, it's really just a bunch of lip service. If we're being honest, you have no assets to trade up and get him, right? Because your biggest asset is Dak Prescott, and you can't move him. And let's say you were able to put together a trade packet without including Dak Prescott. Let's say they did something stupid like trade away CD Lamb, or they traded away, three future first round picks and a second or something stupid. Dak Prescott, like, you would have to bench a $40 million quarterback and have him on your team for the next 2 years, because you can't cut Dak Prescott and keep your cap alive. Because if cutting Dak Prescott is it's almost $50 million in dead money. Back to the damn fundamental. Yeah, yeah. So man, like, you can't cut Dak, you can't trade Dak. So it is what it is, man. Like, he's your quarterback going forward. You're gonna have to just appreciate him. You're just going to have to appreciate him. And he's not a bad quarterback at all. Like, the man is top 10. I always go back to these stats because they're easy to remember. Well, yeah. And I always go back to these stats because they're easy to remember. But the man's top 10 in passer rating, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. Plus, think about the franchise record that he has. This man has thrown the most passing touchdowns in the season, in franchise history. He had the second most passing yards in the season in franchise history. He's on track, to pass everybody in the Dallas Cowboys history in passing touchdowns and passing yards and wins. Right. The only thing that Dak Prescott has to do is keep playing the way that he's been playing and eventually win the Super Bowl. Like, y'all, like, people will look back and remember Dak Prescott fondly. Right. The same way that people didn't appreciate Tony Romo till he was calling plays in the booth. That's how they're gonna end up doing Dak Prescott. But yeah, man, this is a bunch of nothing. If we're being honest, this is Jerry Jones keeping the Dallas Cowboys relevant in the media. And these people on in the national media and local radio and all that stuff, they know enough about how football works, about the salary cap, about the assets that the Dallas Cowboys have, before they ever ran this story, to know that this shit would never happen. Excuse my language. To know that this was a pipe dream. And they do it because it's easy clicks. We have a very large fan base. It's easy to get the clicks off the Dallas Cowboys fans. And the Dallas Cowboy haters, we're being honest. Do you see, Dak Prescott, Cowboys, like those keywords in the titles, it's easy for the algorithm to generate clicks. They getting that easy money off the Dallas Cowboys fan base and the Dallas Cowboys haters. And Jerry Jones love it because it's free publicity. Ain't no football going on outside of the XFL. Draft hasn't started. Combine hasn't happened. So like, it's a slow news week. So they need something to print out, keep people engaged. Run those shares and streams of blase blase. So yeah, man, it's a whole bunch of nothing. Now, if we really want to talk about addressing the quarterback position, it wouldn't be addressing Dak Prescott. If we really want to tackle addressing upgrading any position, it will be the backup quarterback position. Because when you think about how the league is going right now, 17 game season, like I can't name the number of backup quarterbacks that had to play this year. It was a lot. A lot of backup quarterbacks had to play, and then a lot of backup quarterbacks even had to play in the playoffs. Like me and my cousin West Coast were talking about. The Miami Dolphins had to start a backup quarterback in a playoff game, right? The 49ers started a backup quarterback in a playoff game. Baltimore Ravens started a backup quarterback in the playoff game, right? So, like a backup is going to be very important, going forward. These guys are not playing full 17 game seasons. Ready to be for rest, ready to be for injury. They're not playing the full 17 game season. And, with an extra game, it's an extra opportunity for somebody to get nicked or get hurt. So, that's why so many backup quarterbacks were seen in the damn playoffs playing meaningful snaps. So, and, with Cooper Rush possibly being on his way out, like we can use the draft, later in the draft and possibly get somebody to upgrade over him. I think Max Duggan as a project quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years, serving as Dak Prescott's primary backup, will be fine, right? I think there's a couple names floating around there that we seen being mocked to us that will fit what we actually need. But outside of that, like there's no possible way to improve over Dak Prescott. Because remember, once you get that high and where your player is, it's going to be hard to improve over him. Like, CD Lamb has submitted himself as a top 10 receiver right now, right? Hands down, made an All Pro team, 1,300 yard season. Like he showed up, and he proved he was true number one. How would you upgrade over CD Lamb? The guys that are better than CD Lamb, you know, will require like a crazy amount of money to get and access to get. And it's the same principle with Dak Prescott, right? Nobody is no the quarterbacks that are actually better than Dak Prescott. No Max Duggan fan, Jake Hayner out of Fresno State is better than him accurately. I'm gonna check him out. It also depends because listen, I feel like I can get Max Duggan in the 7th round. I think I can get Max Duggan in the 6th or 7th round because I'm not drafting a quarterback nowhere past the 5th round. And I'm gonna tell you why. You just had a 5th round pick starting the playoff game for you in DeRon Bland. DeRon Bland, we draft and listen. This is a gift and a curse, right? I I can't draft a quarterback. If he's there in the 6th round, I can do it, but I can't draft a quarterback. Before round 6. Because think about the guys on your team that we hit on and that we're so good at. Duggan looks like he's gonna be ass man. Well, look, I don't need him to come in to start. I just need somebody that can play similar to Dak Prescott, right? I just need a mobile quarterback that can run play action and can know how to hand the ball off. Because listen, I don't need him to do anything. I don't need him to do anything at all. Hand the ball off, you know, run the ball occasionally, play action with him. I don't need him to come in and the Cooper Rush offense is all I need to see for my backup at any given point. Because I only need him for a series or a game most of the time, hopefully. Because realistically, if Dak Prescott is gone for the season, like the season's over with anyway. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it 1,000. So let's see. But yeah, I'm not drafting a quarterback, before round 6. Because Ron Bland started, was good. Really should have had consideration for defensive rookie of the year. Right? Had 5 interceptions. He was a 5th round pick. Damone Clark, right? 5th round pick. Came in, played exceptionally well for where he was drafted at. Right? Think about the value you get in the 4th round. Right? Look at the value that you get in round number 4. Jake Ferguson, fourth round pick. You know, he looks like somebody that can develop into a great tight end down the line, right? Think about Anthony Brown, got drafted in the sixth round. Like I know a lot of people don't like Anthony Brown, but he's been a starting cornerback in the league for the past 8 years, past 7 years. You know, that's good quality to get, you know, for just giving up a sixth round pick. So, you know, I'm waiting to the seventh round to draft a quarterback. I'm drafting a quarterback in the very last round. No, this is like going to the car lot with $1,000. I know I'm not gonna leave the car lot with a Dodge Charger, and I'm not talking about $1,000 down. Like I got $1,000 to my name. Like I might be able to put $200 down. I'm gonna leave in a hoopty. I'm gonna leave in a hoopty. I'm gonna leave back out walking. But yeah, man, like we draft too good for me to use premium picks on a quarterback that's never gonna see the field realistically. Who is more of a project? Who is more of a developmental player? Who is a break glass in case of emergency kind of guy? No, I believe you because I've seen people talk about the boy out of Fresno too. I'm intrigued about going and looking at his stuff, and you know I might see enough from him to where that might persuade me to use a higher pick to get it. But you know, like it's a gift and a curse, man. Because like with the holes that we have and our ability to hit on draft picks even in the later rounds, they're like hell. Look at Izzy. Izzy was a late round pick, came in and played admirably. Like we draft way too damn good, man. And you know, it's just hard pressed for me to see myself getting one of these other quarterbacks so high when I could fill out my roster. Especially with the way the Dallas Cowboys handle business. And I hate how they do it, man. The Dallas Cowboys penny pinch so much in free agency, you have to have a good damn draft class every year. Right? Because we're gonna go out here, we're gonna shop, you know, at the dollar store. We're gonna shop at the dollar store. Usually our fifth rounders and up don't make the team often. Well, it depends. It depends. It depends. Like I said, because the run blend is, you know, like there's somebody. Let me go back and look at our fifth rounders. That's where I do my draft work in the most, the fourth through the seventh. That's where the GMs be Watt Jake's teammate, Jalen Marino. Oh yeah. I heard about Jalen Marino, but yeah, we actually done hit on a bunch of late round picks. We're being honest, we hit a bunch of late round picks. Matter of fact, let me go back and look. All right, let's see. And really, we should have never. Like, we drafted a ton of good ass players in the fifth round that we let go. Right, because John Ridgeway should have still been on this team. He was drafted in the fifth round this year. Damone Clark looked like he's a dog. Deron Bland has proven he's a dog already. The only guy that we got in the fifth round that actually hasn't panned out so far is Matt Walesko last year. Right, that's just the 2022 draft. Right, so let's look at the 2021. Hold on, 2021. Who did we draft? All right. All right. So let's see. Fifth round was Semi Fehoko last year. But, you know, sixth round, we got Israel McQuamu and we got Quentin Bohannon who started games. So, you know, we do have a knack for finding some we have a knack for finding talent in the later rounds, man. That's really where the meat and potatoes of the draft is most years. Most of you guys in the first and second round don't usually ever pan out. I'm not saying like for the Cowboys. I'm just talking about like in general. Like there's more first round bust than anything. There's more first round bust than anything. So, but yeah, like I had to look for real. I had to go back and look at his tape He'll have to just jump off the screen for me to beat the table for him. Because look, think about the positions of need that we have right now on this team. We need another wide receiver. We need offensive line help. We need help at defensive tackle. We need another linebacker. We need a cornerback. We might need another safety if Donovan Wilson isn't retained. So like there's a bunch of positions that we need to fill. And knowing the Dallas Cowboys, they're not going to actively do it in the free agency. Like they might retain, like Tony Pollard, they might retain Terrence Steele. You still need offensive line help. Who was coaching the wide receivers this year? Don't like guy from last year. Couldn't get Semito. Let's see. That's a good question. Who is the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver coach? Dallas Cowboy hired Robert Prince to coach a talented wide receivers room in 2022. Prince, who has, he need to go too. Then Robert Prince is the receivers coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Looks like he still is the receivers coach. Yeah, he was hired last year. He's one of the few holdovers, from the last regime. Like he actually a guy that has ties to Kellen Moore because of his time with Boise State. He was a receiver coach then, back in 2001. Yeah, he's a Boise guy. He's a Boise guy. So yeah, he's somebody that also should have been off the field, should have been gone. But I don't know. I don't know because when you think about it, Simi Fehoko didn't really get a chance. Turpin, but I also that might be more Kellen Moore because I do think he's the one that handles the offensive personnel packages. I think Kellen Moore was the one handling the offensive personnel packages. Now, I would let him go for the amount of balls that hit the receiver hands that turn into interceptions because there are a bunch of balls that hit receivers dead in the hands that end up turning into interceptions. Some will turn to pick sixes the other way. So that if everybody in my receiving core is having an issue catching the ball, then my wide receiver coach is probably gonna have to go, right? Because I can't get rid of all my receivers, but I can get rid of one man, and maybe the next guy that they bring in can do a better job of getting the guys ready, prepared to play and execute when their number is called. Because it makes no sense. Because y'all do realize Dak Prescott led the league in interceptions, but he also led the league in interceptions thrown on non-turnover worthy plays, meaning that the turnover was not the fault of the quarterback. The throw or the decision did not directly lead to the turnover. And look no further than the Noah Brown play they ended the game. Look no further than what happened with I think it was Hendershot that bobbled that ball against the Titans. But yeah, that happened a lot. There were a lot of passes just bouncing off of receivers and into the hands of defenders. So fair or not, wide receiver coach, that's your job to make sure that these boys' hands are ready. So like he probably should be out the door as well. But yeah, man, I just wanted to take time out to talk about that craziness because that's all it is a bunch of craziness though, man. Like CJ Stroud, there's literally no chance in hell that he ends up being a Dallas Cowboy. I'm just being honest with you, right? And I'm not saying he might not be a good quarterback down the line, but like I said, let's go through the checklist. No assets to get him. No way to get out of Dak Prescott's contract. It's over. It's over. It's over. Right? We need to stop entertaining. And I get it. There's a section of the fan base that's still down on Dak Prescott after the playoff game. Y'all want to see his head on the platter. Get over it. He's going to be the quarterback for at least the next 2 years. If they actually get this contract no negotiation worked out. He'll probably be your quarterback for at least the next four. So deal with it. Nate Prescott's going to be the quarterback. He's a good enough quarterback to win with. Um, it's tax season. Y'all need to be out here buying stuff, taking vacations, being happy. So man, don't let the Cowboys steal your joy with this fake news, man. But hey, I'm gonna try to go live later on, do a show with my kinfolk West Coast. It'll probably be late tonight though when that drop though. But everybody that's on here with me, man, I appreciate the love and support. I think A. Collins should be brought back and given serious look. Yeah, they retained him. They signed Collins to a futures deal. So Collins is on the roster. He definitely should be ahead of Josh Ball on the depth chart. He had, and yes, you're right. He did have good tape, from his limited snaps. So like I'm higher on Collins than I ever was Josh Ball. Like Josh Ball is big and sorry for no apparent reason. But yeah, man. But I appreciate y'all for showing love, man. Like, please go to the page, subscribe to the page, share the content. I appreciate the love, and I will be back later on, man. Y'all hold it down.